And right now, I'm hanging out with the founder, well, co-founder of the Creative Council, Mr. Gil Oved. Welcome to the Billionaires Under Construction television show. And I always like referring to myself as a billionaire under construction. And people ask me, like, billionaire under construction, what do you mean? Why do you think somebody like myself, out of the long list of entrepreneurs out there, would choose to sit down with somebody like you and call you a billionaire under construction?
Oh, there's a mirror effect here, because I think you can't be a billionaire in reality until you've seen it and pictured it in your mind 1,000,000 times over when you're just starting off. I think it's a lot of it has to do with visualization. You got to imagine your own success. And I remember as a youngster, I always wanted to be on TV growing up. I used to imagine myself over and over again, what I would do, what I would say, how I would behave, and that led me to be a TV presenter as a teenager.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that if you imagine things and focus on it and play it over in your mind over and over again, it becomes your own reality. And I really believe that anything in life is fiction that we buy into. And then the fiction becomes our own reality. So if you think about money, politics, borders, religion, all of these things are imaginations that we've all agreed to. If I take a 200 Rand note, it's valuable to you and to me because we've agreed that it's valuable. If I tear it up, I've destroyed value. But in reality, I've torn up a piece of paper. But in our perception, 200 Rand has been destroyed. So we share these common myths that we buy into. And so if you can create the fiction in your mind that becomes a reality, you're able to then convince others that that is a common reality, and that is what success is all about in my mind.
I love that you're talking about success and you're talking about the mind. Why is it important for entrepreneurs, especially in Africa, in our continent right now, in 2017, 2018, to think big?
Well, we are at a point in our lives, in humanity, that is unlike any time in the history of the world, where a kid in Soshanguve has the same kind of access to information as a kid living in Manhattan. And it's an amazing paradigm shift, because for thousands of years, he who held the information held the power. Now the information has been democratized to a large extent, and we still need to increase connectivity and access and all of that. But I'm saying, on the whole, if you look at the gap 100 years ago between someone living in a developed economy and someone living in South Africa, it was vast. The gap is narrowing tremendously. Smartphone prices coming down. Data prices must still fall, but are falling, okay? And they're becoming very accessible. And so we have an opportunity as entrepreneurs on the continent to leapfrog the legacy issues that developed economies have. And we're seeing it with lots of things, like M-Pesa is a perfect example of a concept that became a product, that became something that changed the face of how people do business in East Africa. And all of a sudden you've got a fisherman, a rural fisherman in Kenya, who used to be a price taker. He used to fish blindly, not knowing what he could get for what he was fishing, okay? And so he was a price taker. Now, with M-Pesa, he can get real-time market information, decide what he's going to fish for, how much he's going to charge, and then he becomes a price maker, not a price taker. That's incredible. And that's happening all over the continent. And so for entrepreneurs, starting up here and now, they can look at the present and the future and say, wow, I'm in an opportunity. I've got an opportunity now with technology, with information, to do things on a global scale. I don't need lots of money. I may not even need any money. I just need to use this inventiveness, ingenuity, tenacity, whatever it takes, and I can make magic happen, and I can become a billionaire under construction.
How do we make them think they can become billionaires? I know people like myself and yourself are currently, communicating that through our actions and through the ventures that we're a part of, which we'll get into just now, what those ventures are. How do we help them to think like that?
Yeah. So I asked one of my early mentors, who is himself not a billionaire under construction, he's constructed.
Yeah.
He was a mentor. And I said to him, you know, you've become very wealthy and you've enriched many entrepreneurs by investing in them. You've met so many entrepreneurs. What is the secret of success of these entrepreneurs? What is the one thing that is common amongst all these successful people that you've met? And he said something to me and it was very interesting. He said, entitlement. And I was very shocked because the word, when we use the word entitlement, it's seen as negative. You know, people are entitled, they mustn't feel entitled. He didn't mean it that way. He said, the one common trait is that when he speaks to entrepreneurs, whether they've made it or are yet to make it or just starting off, the quality he looks for is when you speak to these people who are going to be successful, they feel entitled to success. They feel that they're entitled to change the world. They feel they're entitled to be very wealthy and to do amazing things. They don't, when you meet them, you don't say, oh geez, does he deserve this? They walk in as if they're entitled. Now, it comes with a lot of hard work and you need a bit of luck and you need all the good stuff. But you walk in and say, I deserve this success. I'm entitled to it. And when he said it to me, my whole paradigm shifted. Because then it kind of like ratified what I kind of always felt. And I think you can still be humble and still believe that you're entitled to success. And therefore you will make sure that you get what you are entitled to. And you will do whatever it takes, work hard, you know, work long hours, through the weekends, when you're standing in the shower, when you're up at night till 2 in the morning thinking about your problems, you go, well, I'm going to solve this problem because I am entitled to success, entitlement. And that is the kind of mindset that I wish I could see more of on the continent.
And when I wrote a book and I said billionaires under construction, everybody thinks I'm talking about money, the money side of it. But no, I'm going to become one of the best entrepreneurs Africa has ever made, one of the best global entrepreneurs Africa has ever made. But for me...
And can I just make a point on that?
Yes, yes.
Already, so you're well on your way to success. You've had some success and you're going to have a lot more success. But already you're behaving like a billionaire who recognizes that for someone who is successful, one of their duties, one of their obligations is to give back. And as much as you get, you give back more. And therefore you will continue to get more. And I see all the efforts that you make, and on screen, but more importantly off screen, you continue to give back to people. You feel passionately about inspiring and growing other entrepreneurs. And that, to me, is one of the biggest traits of a billionaire under construction.
I wanted to ask you, why is it important for you to give back? When I look around your operations, you are always surrounded by young people. You are always imparting, you're always changing lives. And so many times I've come across young people who always throw your name. When either one reads a CV or one asks somebody of their history, your name or your company's name always comes up. You've touched so many lives. But I mean, why? Why is that important to you?
It's an honor. It's a privilege, but most importantly, it's an obligation. Because we are societal beings. We're not isolationists. Humans succeed and have taken over the world because they've learned how to cooperate and work together and help and support each other. The magic happens when we work together. So isn't it awesome to be able to give, when you get so much more when you give than when you get? And the satisfaction of mentoring and growing young people is something that I enjoy way more than the other trappings that success has brought me. We've created tens of thousands of jobs, and I can think of no greater privilege and honor in life than creating employment for other people. There'll be others who argue that there are other things that are very important, and I acknowledge that that's their thing. But for me, meeting someone, and now we've been doing this thing with Creative Council for 16 years, so I get to meet people who have been in the working world for over a decade. Successful guys, directors of companies, who will come to me and say, you won't believe, girl, my first employment was with you guys. One of the privileges that I feel that I have as an individual is that I absolutely don't know what my future holds. And I don't mind that. I spent my 20s and my 30s worrying tremendously, spent a lot of time, wasted energy, worrying about what will happen. And the beauty of being my age and having done what I've done at this point is I know I'll be okay. I know what my place is in the world. I'm very humble and I'm very grateful, and the reason I'm successful is because of all the people around me who have supported me and all of that. But I also know that I have value to add to this world, and I have a pretty clear idea of what that is. As for what I'm going to do with it, no idea. And my rules are do it with vigor, immerse myself in it, do the things that I'm passionate about, and ensure that I'm cognizant of the legacy that I leave behind. And if I achieve those, how I do it, I don't care.
Others are watching you right now. Advice, younger guys?
It's a tough time for entrepreneurs on the continent. It's always tough to be an entrepreneur, but particularly now and particularly on this continent. But the prizes are out there, and there is no continent I would rather be on than right here, right now. This is the only continent that's going to grow from 1 billion to 4 billion people by the year 2100. By the year 2100, 40% of the world's youth population will call Africa home. By the year 2060, 40% of Africa will be considered middle class. All these new people will need bridges, roads, schools, homes, malls. They'll need to shop, eat, be entertained, educated. There are so many opportunities. The rest of the world is aging. It's declining. It's been built. It's done. You can only enhance a little bit. Here, you're starting from scratch. And it's unfettered. And you've got technology on your side. So my advice to entrepreneurs is make it happen. And the best thing is just start doing it. Do it. It doesn't have to be the best. It doesn't have to be the biggest. It doesn't have to change the world up front. Get in it. Start doing it. If you're on the field, you're already much further than all the spectators around you.
His name is Gil Oved, founder of the Creative Council. He's a billionaire under construction. When are you going to join us on this train? We are going to change the continent. We're innovating, and we're in control of our time because we chose to be entrepreneurs. It's not an easy journey, but it's all worth it in the end.